My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. And to read my writing and to see my latest CNN appearances and my MSNBC appearances, you can go to hagoodman.com. This segment is going to discuss a lot of things. First and foremost, I am speaking directly to my amazing subscribers. Hillary bots, if you're watching, you can just stop watching because this is going to be too powerful for you and too informative for you, and you're not going to understand what I'm about to say. So you really don't have to watch, but if you do, pay attention. You might learn something. But this segment is to my amazing subscribers, to all the people who are Bernie or bust, to all the people who have worked so hard to ensure that Bernie Sanders has a viable, strong, competitive campaign, the people who have donated money to Bernie, the people who have phone banked and driven long distances to see Bernie if he endorses Clinton tomorrow or next week or whenever. If this segment discusses the possibility, it could be tomorrow. Number one, I can only speak for myself. Now, I've written a great deal about Bernie Sanders. I've advocated Bernie Sanders. I've done my part. And I've received heat for it. I have hit pieces from Raw Story, Daily Beast, Daily Banter, a whole bunch of no-name publications, all written about how much they hate me. That's fine. I don't care. But I've been on television, MSNBC, CNN, advocating Bernie Sanders. You can see the segments below. And I've written about 120 articles, well over that, in The Hill, The Huffington Post, and Salon. This isn't a resume. I'm not trying to give a resume, and I'm not trying to say that anything that I've done warrants or justifies my viewpoint. Because you've given money, you have worked, you have given your heart and soul. And if Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton, he is only doing so to play ball with a political machine. The political machine, I'm speaking if that happens. So if tomorrow you're watching this video and Bernie Sanders endorses, it's not the end of the world. We have a million other options, or we have viable options. But first and foremost, I want to say that no matter what happens, I will always respect Bernie Sanders, and I will always admire Nina Turner, Tulsi Gabbard, Dr. Cornel West, Killer Mike, everyone who's worked so hard, Susan Sarandon, Rosario Dawson, everybody who's worked so hard to ensure that Bernie Sanders competes and defeats Clinton, okay? If Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton, you have to take things into context, in my view. You cannot turn against Bernie, because if you did so, you would then be falling into the trap that Clinton has set for you and that the Clinton campaign has set for you. That trap is anger, frustration, regret. They want you to question reality. They want you to turn on Bernie. They want you to say, I've done so much and now he's endorsing Clinton. He's a sellout. They want you to feel hopeless. But if Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton, it's not that he wants to do so. We all know he would never want to do so. It's that he ran within the Democratic Party. He was noble. He transformed the party forever. Believe me, he did. And he can still win. My vantage point has always been, Clinton has less than 2,383 pledged delegates. She barely escaped indictments. She has a perjury. They're going to get her on perjury. She lied to the Benghazi committee. It's just like Al Capone. They got him on tax evasion. They'll get Clinton on something unrelated, perhaps, or related somewhat. to the email scandal that James Comey said, well, you know what? Anyone else in her position would have been faced serious consequences. Sophisticated hackers probably hacked into her servers. She used multiple servers. She received Bourne classified information. She received information that was classified upon receiving it. The State Department said nobody gave her authority. She used an NSA, a BlackBerry the NSA said don't use. Doesn't matter. Comey laid the case. He made the case for indictments, and then in the end he said he won't indict. So, but that's the way Clinton operates. The intent is very difficult to prove because she hides behind stupidity. We can't question whether she's stupid or not, or naive. So that's the issue with the intent and Comey. But the point is this. I'm going on and on because I don't want you to lose hope. The second you lose hope, and the second you fear Trump, who is friends with the Clintons, who gave money to Hillary Clinton, $100,000 to her foundation, gave money to her Senate campaigns, invited Bill and Hillary to his wedding. The second that you go ahead and fear Trump and vote for Clinton because she's the lesser of two evils, think again. Trump, he's a buffoon and he only cares about money. We know this. And he's pandered to racist and xenophobic sentiments. I understand this. We all understand this. But he's the lesser evil because Hillary Clinton is not only a war hawk, not only a neocon. She's advised by Henry Kissinger. She would utilize the authorization for use of military force in a manner that neoconservative advisors advise her to utilize. So she will send Americans abroad at a moment's notice back to counterinsurgency wars. Neoconservatives actually wrote an open letter against Trump and are supporting Clinton. A whole lot of establishment Republicans are supporting Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton takes money from prison lobbyists. Hillary Clinton won't disclose a speech transcript to Wall Street. Clinton is in bed with all these interests. These are generally, historically, Republican interests, special interests. The only good things I'll say about Trump is that he's against the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, and we know that Clinton is going to go and support the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would be devastating to the United States of America for many reasons. In the comments section, to my amazing subscribers, explain why the Trans-Pacific Partnership would be devastating to the country. To the Hillary bots who are completely clueless, who might be watching, and who might comment. But my overall message is that, number one, Bernie Sanders is an honorable human being, a very honorable man. And what he's done, and everyone who supported Bernie, Sarah Silverman, Danny Glover, everybody who supported Bernie Sanders deserves a great deal of respect, admiration. And this movement lives on with Bernie or bust, big time, or Jill Stein. And the title of this segment correlates to Bernie or bust being a major factor. And here's why. This is the hope. If you spend more than a second depressed or sad or angry or frustrated, if Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton, you need to stop. You need to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you right at this moment. Hillary Clinton barely beats Donald Trump. So if you look at Real Clear Politics, she is above Trump. She's ahead of Trump 4.5 points in the polls. Go to Real Clear Politics now. The link is below. In an average of polls, he's actually up by 2 points in a Rasmussen poll. But the issue with that isn't the national polls. She should be far ahead of Trump. Nobody trusts Clinton. She has almost identical favorability ratings to Trump. You can look that up. Or very similar, I should say, which says a lot about Clinton. But Clinton is up by 4.5 points. Okay, I discussed this in a previous segment. Florida has 29 electoral votes. Okay, you're not going to you got to get Florida if you're going to, especially when there's 130 toss-up states, toss-up electoral votes this election. Hillary's only up by 3.7 points in Florida. That's 29 electoral votes. She's only up by 3.7 points. Ohio, very historic swing state, she's only up by 2.5 points. Okay? Ohio has 18 electoral votes. Okay? Pennsylvania, Hillary Clinton is only up by 2.3 points above Trump. Okay? Pennsylvania has 20 electoral votes. So the point is, if you look at, for example, another swing state. Hold on one second. Michigan. Michigan has 16 electoral votes. She's up by 4 in an average of polls. The issue is this. In swing states and toss-up states, she's barely above Donald Trump. She will need Bernie or bust. Bernie or bust will never, ever, ever vote for Hillary Clinton. We know that you don't even have to be Bernie or bust. About half of Bernie voters aren't voting for Clinton. That was in a Bloomberg poll. In an article, quote, nearly half of Sanders supporters won't support Clinton. Poll. That was in late June. In the 2 weeks since Hillary Clinton wrapped up that's baloney, but wrapped up the Democratic presidential primary, she's the presumptive nominee with less than 2,383 pledged delegates. Bernie should not concede. He can win, but you know what? I was on Tim Black this evening. I will put the link below. I love Tim Black. He's amazing. Please subscribe to his channel. I explained that if Bernie Sanders endorses, I explained two things. One, I made the case, a little bit of the case, that Trump is by far the lesser evil. And two, with Tim, we discussed the fact that, or I explained my viewpoint that if Bernie endorses Clinton, it's because he didn't want to tear it down. He didn't want to tear the system down, or tear down the Democratic Party, because that's what would have happened. He would have made the case. He can still make the case, and I hope that I'm wrong in my assumption. This segment is only to give people the realistic hope that Bernie or bust lives on stronger than ever if Clinton endorses, if Bernie endorses dear leader Hillary. But the point, I'll go ahead and read this, but it was an amazing discussion with Tim Black. Please watch the segment below. Please subscribe to his channel. And I basically said that if Clinton endorses Bernie, if Bernie endorses Clinton, Clinton should endorse Bernie. Believe me, if Democrats want to beat Trump. But if Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton, it will be only because he didn't want to basically tear down the Democratic Party and say, hey, you know what? You guys are a bunch of hypocrites. I beat Trump by a wider margin. My delegates, my support isn't going anywhere. And then the Democratic Party would have to make a choice. So if he supports Hillary, it's because he didn't want to tear the machine down. And in many ways, I respect him for that, because the machine getting torn down by that type of thing, well, you debate it. Give me your thoughts in the comments section. What do you think would have taken place if Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton? And I'm looking into the future now, and I hope not. I hope he doesn't. But tomorrow, The reports say that he will. I want you to calm down. I want you to relax. But give me your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think, Bernie? How do you think it would have played out in the convention? If Bernie endorses Clinton, how do you think it would have played out? But it goes on to say June 14th, Bloomberg poll, national poll, likely voters election found that barely half of those who favored Sanders plan to vote for Clinton. Some were voting for Gary Johnson, some were voting for Jill Stein, some were voting for Trump. That's a Bloomberg poll. In addition to the poll numbers that show Trump is very competitive within the margin of error in most swing states and only 4.5 points below Clinton nationally, and Clinton doesn't keep polling leads. In addition to the fact that half of Bernie voters will not vote for Clinton, there is a poll today, actually, or yesterday, that says 9 out of 10 Republicans disapprove of the decision not to charge Clinton on emails. ABC News Washington Post poll. 56% of Americans disapprove. 56% of Americans also have an unfavorable view of Clinton, by the way, ties into that poll. And 3 out of 10, so 31% of Democrats agree with 9 out of 10 Republicans. I'll put the link below. Bernie or bust not only lives on, but whether you're Bernie or bust with Jill Stein, or Bernie or bust writing in Bernie, or Bernie or bust with Gary Johnson, or Bernie or bust if you feel like voting for Trump. But Hillary Clinton would turn the Democratic Party backwards. If you're watching this and you're asking yourself, who is this guy? H.A. Goodman, who is this crazy guy who wrote about Elizabeth Warren, Jim Webb, Martin O'Malley, and even Rand Paul in 2014 because of an anti-war stance, because I'm against neocons who are apparently Democrat nowadays. I have advocated Bernie, and I will continue to advocate Bernie and I hope that he stays to the convention and makes the case that he beats Trump by 10.4 points. But if he doesn't, the reason that I believe that anyone is better than Hillary Clinton, and the reason I believe that Bernie Sanders is a once-in-a-lifetime candidate, especially since he voted against the Iraq War, especially since he is against the Trans-Pacific Partnership, he's against Keystone XL, he wants a single payer, he wants free public college tuition, he wants to end perpetual wars and quagmires, and he's spoken about that. He's the antithesis of Hillary Clinton in every way, much better than all the other candidates I wrote about. But still, the other candidates I wrote about are better than Clinton. And I'll even go on to say, and I spoke about this with Tim Black, that Trump is the lesser evil because he's not as militant and he's against the TPP. Now, if he falls into those positions because his value system is money and wars and horrible trade deals are bad for his business, okay. But the thing with Trump, and this is the Bernie or bust, and this is the principle that you lack, Hillary bots. You don't know anything about principle. Why would you? You're voting for somebody who used racism against Barack Obama in 2008. This is a fact. Who takes money from prison lobbyists, who voted for the Iraq War, repeated the mistake with Libya, who laughed that a child rapist passed a polygraph. She laughed at that. Who completely fabricated a Bosnian sniper story, a war story, who says that she joined the Marines. Nobody believes that. Senator Jim Webb asked for proof. Of course, she can't give proof. She's a complete liar and corrupt. But for the Hillary bots still watching, close to 20 minutes in, I commend you for taking the time to learn something. And I hope you've learned a little bit. I don't know if you can process all of this. But Bernie or bust, if, giant if, Bernie Sanders endorses Clinton. Bernie or bust will decide this election. Bernie or bust, the millions of people. So we have over 12 million people who voted for Bernie. And you're talking about election fraud. And you're talking about closed primaries. Whole lot more people would have voted for Bernie. Independents make up about 40% of the American electorate. Independents won't vote for Clinton. Look at the poll numbers. She's at like around 8% for independents. Independents love Bernie, over 40%. Trump does well with independents. But the point is this, Bernie or bust will decide this election. Hillary Clinton campaign, Hillary bots. You have this power. If you're a Bernie supporter, if he endorses Clinton, you're distraught. You have the power to decide the election and to ensure that Hillary Clinton doesn't push the Democratic Party backwards, doesn't push for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. She's a liar on that. Doesn't send more Americans off to war. She said she's ready for war right after the Paris attacks in a speech to the Council on Foreign Relations. She's advised by Henry effing Kissinger. What more do you need if you are a person who has any grasp of history? What more do you need to see that Hillary Clinton would merge the Democratic Party with the Republican Party on war and foreign policy and Wall Street? There's no way that Hillary Clinton would break up any of the banks, even in a catastrophic financial collapse. Doesn't matter what language is written within the Democratic platform. We know that the Democratic platform is completely rigged, just like the elections, because Clinton is against the TPP, but for some reason, the DNC wouldn't allow, or Democratic committee wouldn't allow the platform to go against the TPP, even though dear leader Hillary is against it. So what does that tell you? I can go on forever about that. Stay strong, stay passionate. Do not get frustrated. Do not give up. Do not succumb to the gloating or the giddy, idiotic, ridiculous, dumb behavior of bullying Hillary bots on Twitter or online. You know what? I wouldn't even get into a discussion with them if I were you. If you're the type of person who says, you know what, these people are bothering me, don't engage with them, because they want nothing more than to ask for your vote after they insult you. So they've called us Bernie bros, a euphemism that its only goal was to marginalize us, even though they were the bullies and they tried to intimidate and they were condescending and harassed people. They said that we caused havoc in Nevada when David Plouffe in 2008 complained of 200 separate incidents of election fraud in Nevada. That's in an Atlantic article. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet, and now they want your vote. Ain't going to happen with Bernie or bust. I am only voting for Bernie Sanders in 2016. If he endorses, I have options. Jill Stein, writing in Bernie. Leaning towards Jill Stein and Green Party. Do your research on Jill Stein. She's an amazing woman. She would be an amazing choice for the first female president. But stay strong, stay passionate. Do not let anyone intimidate you. The second they intimidate you, the second you allow them to get in your head or you allow them to intimidate you, they've won. That's the only thing they have, is intimidation. If you say to them, hey, I'm going to decide this election, and Bernie or bust is a lot more powerful than your corrupt machine, then they listen. Then they're scared. Then the machine, the political machine, is frightened. Stay strong, people. Stay strong. I am only voting for Bernie Sanders in 2016. If he endorses Clinton, I have a whole lot of options, and so do you. We have hope. Believe me. Stay strong. Thank you for listening.